The station dies in silence. No alarms, no screams, just the wet sound of a blade leaving flesh. Commander Vekfar collapses, 3 eyes wide, clawing at the hole in his throat. Behind him stands something the galaxy thought extinct. Human, alone, covered in blood that isn't his own. He doesn't speak, doesn't need to. The entire command deck is already dead. Every single one. He moves to the communications array, fingers dancing across controls, broadcasting on every frequency. 2 words appear across 1,000 worlds. Still here. 3 years ago, humanity lost. Not a battle, not a war. Everything. The galactic concordance came with terms: surrender or extinction. Humanity chose to fight. Humanity chose wrong. 17 billion souls across 43 colonies, gone in 6 months. Earth burned last. They made sure of that. Made sure every human watched their home world die. The Concordance doesn't take chances with species that might rise again. They erased us. Every ship, every station, every military installation turned to debris. They hunted soldiers world by world, made examples of the ones who hid. The message was clear: resist and suffer, surrender and die quickly. Most chose the latter, but not all. The galaxy celebrated. 67 species, 400 trillion beings, all rejoicing at humanity's end. They threw festivals, composed songs, built monuments to their victory. The Concordance declared a new age of peace. No more human aggression. No more human expansion. No more sleepless nights wondering when Earth's children would come for their worlds. They were terrified of us. That's the truth they never admitted. Humanity had been expanding for only 2 centuries, just 2. In that time, we'd claimed 17 systems, built colony worlds that thrived in conditions that killed other species, and developed weapons that made the Concordance nervous. We weren't the biggest threat, we weren't the strongest, but we were the fastest learners, the quickest to adapt, the hardest to predict. Every wargame showed the same outcome: give humanity another century and we'd be unstoppable. So they struck first, and they thought they'd won. Sergeant Mara Kove wasn't supposed to survive. The last transport off Proxima Station took a railgun round through the reactor. 17,000 refugees. She was in the cargo bay when it happened. The blast threw her through a bulkhead into an escape pod. She doesn't remember launching, doesn't remember the 3 days drifting in the black. Only she remembers waking up. Alone, the pod's emergency beacon silent, life support failing, and through the viewport, the debris field that used to be humanity's 2nd largest colony. She floated there for 6 hours, waiting to die, watching bodies drift past her window. Then the anger came. Not hot, not wild, cold, calculated, pure. She jerry-rigged the life support using parts from the dead pod's navigation system, stretched 8 hours of oxygen into 40, manually piloted using nothing but thruster bursts and math she did in her head. 3 days later, she landed on Outpost 779er, a forgotten human logistics station on an asteroid no one bothered to destroy because no one thought to check. The Concordance was thorough, but not perfect. Humanity had spread fast, built redundancies, hidden supply caches. 779er was one of hundreds, small, automated, designed to support deep space recon missions. It had everything she needed: weapons, ammunition, fabrication equipment, medical supplies, and most importantly, intelligence archives.
Mara spent 6 months learning. Every file, every report, every scrap of intelligence humanity had gathered on the Concordance, their fleet positions, supply lines, command structures, patrol patterns, weaknesses. And there were weaknesses. The Concordance wasn't built for war. It was built for order. 67 species cooperating through councils, committees, and endless bureaucracy. They'd unified to destroy humanity. But now they were going back to normal, reducing fleet sizes, decommissioning warships, reassigning soldiers. They were celebrating peace while sitting on humanity's grave. They thought the threat was over. Mara would teach them different. Her first target was small, a Concordance listening post on the edge of the Varn system. 6 personnel, light weapons, minimal security. She stole a cargo hauler from a civilian transport route, modified the transponder, and docked, claiming engine trouble. They let her in. Mistake.
She killed all 6 in 90 seconds. Took their weapons, their armor, their access codes. Then she erased the station's logs and set the reactor to overload. By the time anyone investigated, there was nothing left but debris. The Concordance blamed it on faulty maintenance. A patrol corvette with 30 crew, Mara intercepted their supply run, planted explosives in a cargo container marked as medical supplies, and watched from 3,000 kilometers away as the ship tore itself apart. 30 more dead. The Concordance noticed this time, launched an investigation, found nothing. Target 3, a diplomatic convoy, 58 souls. Mara mined an asteroid field they used as a shortcut. The explosions looked like navigational error, tragic accident. Target 4, 5, 6. Each one surgical, each one silent, each one designed to look like anything but what it was: revenge. 3 months in, she'd killed over 200 Concordance personnel, and they still didn't know humanity had a survivor. But she was just getting started. Month 4, Mara changed tactics. No more hiding, no more accidents. The Concordance recruitment station on Halar 3 processed 10,000 new military applicants every cycle. Administrative hub, soft target, minimal security, because who would attack a recruitment center during peacetime? Mara walked in through the front entrance. She wore scavenged armor, carried 4 weapons, and she'd spent 2 weeks memorizing every corridor, every exit, every guard rotation. The receptionist looked up. Mara shot her between the eyes. What followed wasn't a battle. It was a massacre. 17 minutes, 342 dead. Every guard, every officer, every recruiter who thought peacetime meant safety. Mara broadcast from the station's communication center before she left, her face on every screen, her voice on every channel. My name is Sergeant Mara Kove, human, Terran Defense Forces. You killed my species. I'm returning the favor. No negotiations, no surrender. This is war. Then she detonated the building behind her and disappeared into the civilian crowds. The galaxy saw a human for the first time in 3 years, and they panicked. The Concordance mobilized immediately. Fleets redirected, manhunts launched. Every station went on high alert. They deployed 50,000 soldiers to find 1 woman. Mara killed 16 of them in the first week. She'd become something the Concordance had never faced before. Not a soldier, not a terrorist, a ghost. She struck from shadows, vanished before reinforcements arrived, used their size against them, their bureaucracy, their need for committee approvals and authorization chains. Humans didn't need permission to fight. Humans just fought. Emergency session, classified. 67 species asking the same question. How is 1 human doing this? The answer terrified them.
Because it wasn't training, it wasn't technology, it wasn't even combat superiority. It was will. Mara didn't sleep more than 3 hours at a time, didn't stop moving, didn't hesitate. Every Concordance soldier went home after their shift, took leave, had families, lives. Mara had nothing but the mission, and that made her unstoppable. The Concordance put a bounty on her, 50 million credits. Every mercenary and bounty hunter in the galaxy came hunting, 300 of the best killers money could buy. Mara sent their heads back in cargo containers. She didn't just kill them, she made examples, crucified them on derelict stations, left messages carved into their bodies. Send more, not enough. Humanity remembers. The psychological impact was devastating. Concordance soldiers started refusing assignments. Civilian stations demanded military protection. Trade routes shut down. The economy began to destabilize. One human was holding 67 species hostage. Month 8, they tried negotiation. The Concordance Council broadcast on all frequencies, offering amnesty, offering peace, offering to leave her alone if she'd just stop. Mara's response was a dead council member. She'd infiltrated the Concordance Citadel itself, the capital station, heart of galactic government, walked through 50 security checkpoints using forged credentials and stolen biometrics, found council member Threk in his private chambers, made it look like a heart attack. No one knew she'd been there until she broadcast from his personal terminal. Her message was simple. You don't get to ask for peace. You took that option when you burned Earth. The Concordance responded with overwhelming force. Battle fleets, spec ops teams, AI tracking systems. They threw everything at the problem.
Mara adapted, stopped using technology they could track, went analog, used dead drops and physical intelligence, moved constantly, struck randomly, made herself impossible to predict. And she started targeting infrastructure, power stations, water treatment facilities, food distribution centers, nothing that would kill civilians directly, but everything that would make them suffer, make them afraid, make them understand what humanity felt watching Earth die. The Concordance's golden age of peace crumbled in 12 months. One soldier did what 17 billion couldn't. She made them regret our extinction. Month 14, Mara made contact, not with the Concordance, with humanity's remnants. Because she wasn't the only survivor. There were others, scattered, hiding, afraid to reveal themselves, ones and twos across the galaxy, former soldiers, refugees, children who'd escaped the purges, maybe 200 total. Mara's broadcasts had given them hope. She'd proven humanity could fight back, could hurt the species that destroyed us. She built a network, not an army, nothing organized, just survivors with a shared purpose. Make the Concordance bleed. They called themselves Terran Remnant. Each one operated independently. Each one became a ghost. Each one hunted Concordance targets with the same cold precision Mara had perfected. The death toll skyrocketed. Concordance casualties went from hundreds to thousands. Every week brought new attacks, new sabotage, new assassinations. The Great Alliance started fracturing. Species blamed each other, accused each other of incompetence. Some started questioning whether destroying humanity had been worth it. The Concordance's supreme commander, a Krell named Thasek, made the decision. Total extermination protocol. Find every human, kill them all. No survivors this time. He mobilized 30% of the Concordance fleet, 5,000 ships, 500,000 soldiers, and he deployed them with one order: burn them out. Officers surround him in shadow.
Mara saw it coming. The Concordance was going loud, which meant they were desperate. Good. She sent one message to every Terran Remnant operative. Final phase, make it count. Then she stole a Concordance frigate. Not through stealth this time. She walked into a military shipyard on Kellis Station with 50 pounds of explosives and a suicide mission attitude. Killed everyone between her and the docking bay, commandeered a warship, and jumped to hyperspace before they could stop her. The ship had a crew of 60. Mara killed them room by room, sealed sections and vented atmosphere, cut power to life support, hunted the survivors through dark corridors. It took 8 hours. By the time she'd secured the ship, she was covered in blood and alien viscera, but she had a frigate, with weapons, shields, and, most importantly, access to Concordance military networks. She learned everything: fleet positions, communication protocols, target priorities, and the location of Supreme Commander Thasik's flagship, the Concordance Eternal. 20 kilometers long, 50,000 personnel, the most advanced warship in the galaxy. Mara plotted a course. She couldn't destroy the Eternal. One frigate against a flagship? Suicide. But Mara didn't need to destroy it. She needed to board it. She approached broadcasting Concordance IFF codes, claimed engine damage, requested emergency docking. They granted permission. Why wouldn't they? She was in one of their ships, using their codes, following protocol. They let her in. Mistake. The docking clamps locked. Mara opened the frigate's cargo bay. She'd filled it with every explosive she could manufacture, enough to tear the docking bay apart. She triggered it remotely 30 seconds after she'd entered the Eternal through the maintenance airlock. The explosion killed 3,000 Concordance personnel instantly, and it was just the opening move. Alarms screamed throughout the Eternal. 30,000 soldiers mobilizing to find one intruder. Mara had studied the ship's schematics, knew every access tunnel, every service shaft, every emergency route. She moved through the walls. The Concordance flooded corridors with troops, locked down sections, deployed combat drones. She killed them in ones and twos, used their weapons, their armor, their security against them.
Every fallen soldier became a resource. Every checkpoint became a killing ground. She wasn't trying to reach the bridge. That wasn't the target. She was going for engineering. The Eternal's reactor core powered shields that could withstand planet-killer weapons, but from the inside, with the right modifications, it could be turned into a bomb. Mara fought through 17 levels, 300 soldiers trying to stop her. She took wounds, plasma burns, ballistic impacts, shrapnel. Kept moving. Had to. Engineering was 5 levels away. 4. 3. The Concordance realized her target, deployed their elite guard, 30 of the finest warriors in the galaxy, gene-modded, cybernetically enhanced, each one worth 50 normal soldiers. Mara killed 17 of them. The remaining 13 cornered her at the reactor entrance. They had her. No escape routes, no reinforcements, no way out. The guard commander stepped forward, a krill named Voss, 8 feet tall, 4 arms, each holding a weapon. "Surrender, human. You've done enough damage. This ends now." Mara smiled, blood on her teeth. "You're right. It does end." She pressed the detonator she'd been carrying for 16 months, the one wire to the explosives she'd hidden throughout the ship during her infiltration. Small charges, placed precisely, not enough to destroy the Eternal, but enough to damage the reactor containment. The explosion knocked everyone to the deck. Radiation alarms shrieked. The reactor core began destabilizing. Mara ran, not away from the reactor, into it. She reached the core controls. The containment was failing. 6 minutes until breach. The Eternal would survive, But this section would be flooded with lethal radiation. Everyone here would die, including her. Mara accessed the core systems, started the override sequence, not to shut it down, to overload it completely, turned the entire ship into a funeral pyre. The guard realized what she was doing, opened fire. Plasma bolts tore through her shoulder, her leg. She kept typing. Voss charged. 4 arms, 4 weapons. Mara drew her last grenade, pulled the pin, smiled at him. Humanity remembers. The blast took them both. Voss died instantly. Mara was thrown 20 feet, broken ribs, shattered arm, lung collapsed. But the override was complete. The reactor would breach in 3 minutes. The Eternal's evacuation alarm sounded. 30,000 personnel scrambling for escape pods, the flagship dying from within. Mara lay on the deck, bleeding out, watching the reactor core pulse brighter. This was always how it ended. She'd never expected to survive, never wanted to. She just wanted them to pay. Then her comlink crackled. "Sergeant Kove, this is Terran Remnant. We're tracking your position." A voice she didn't recognize. "We counted 17 escape pods near your section. You've got 90 seconds to reach Base 7. Mara coughed blood. "Can't move." "Then we're coming in." "Negative. Core breach in 2 minutes. You won't make it." Silence. Then, "Ma'am, with respect, you taught us not to abandon our own." The sound of explosions through the comlink. Weapons fire. A small craft breached the hull 3 sections away. 2 humans in combat armor came through the fire and smoke like demons. A man and a woman, both young, early 20s. Refugees she'd recruited 8 months ago. They found her, lifted her, ran. 60 seconds. They reached their insertion craft, a modified mining ship, strapped Mara in, launched. 30 seconds.
The craft cleared the Eternal's hull. 20 seconds. They jumped to hyperspace. The Eternal's reactor breached. 20 kilometers of warship turned into an expanding fireball. Supreme Commander Thasic died with his ship, along with 18,000 personnel who couldn't evacuate in time. The Concordance's flagship gone, and Mara Kove lived. Mara woke 3 days later. Medical day, small station, the smell of antiseptic and recycled air. The 2 who saved her stood at attention. Corporal Jin Park, Private Elise Venn. "Report," Mara rasped. Park spoke. "Terran Remnant now has 43 active operatives across the galaxy. Your attack on the Eternal has caused chaos in Concordance Command. 17 species are calling for investigations. 8 are threatening to leave the Alliance." And, then continued, "We've intercepted communications. The Concordance Council is voting on whether to pursue further action against humanity's survivors or to negotiate terms. They're afraid." "Yes, ma'am." Mara sat up. Pain lanced through her body. 16 broken bones, 3 replaced organs, but she was alive. "What do we have?" 3 ships, enough weapons for 200, 50 volunteers. 50? More are coming. Your broadcasts reached farther than we knew. Humans who'd been hiding for years, they're ready to fight. Mara stood, every movement agony. "Then we give them something to fight for." The Terran Remnant grew. 50 became 100, 100 became 300. Not just soldiers, engineers, pilots, hackers, scientists. Every human survivor who'd ever thought they were alone found others. Mara became their leader, not through rank, through respect. She'd shown them survival wasn't enough. She'd shown them how to hurt the species that destroyed Earth, and they were ready to do more. The Concordance was fracturing. The great alliance that had unified to destroy humanity was eating itself. Species blamed each other for the Eternal's loss, for the inability to stop Terran attacks, for the thousands dead. Economic collapse followed military chaos. Trade routes deemed too dangerous to patrol, stations refusing to pay taxes for protection they weren't receiving, colonies declaring independence. The Concordance's golden age was ending, and humanity was dancing on its grave. Mara planned the final strike, not against military targets, against the symbol. The Concordance Citadel, capital station, the galaxy's center of power, where 67 species met to govern 400 trillion beings. She was going to burn it down. The Citadel was impregnable. 500,000 military personnel, planetary-grade shields, weapons that could destroy fleets. Direct assault was impossible. But Mara didn't plan a direct assault. The Citadel hosted the Unity Summit every cycle. All 67 species sent delegations, thousands of diplomats, dignitaries, and representatives gathering to celebrate galactic cooperation. The next summit was in 3 weeks. Mara sent infiltrators, humans who could pass for other species with cosmetic modifications, others who hid in cargo shipments, some who'd been living on the Citadel for years, invisible. 40 operatives positioned over 2 weeks, each one carrying pieces of something that wouldn't register on scanners, organic compounds, common materials, nothing suspicious, but assembled correctly, a bomb. Not nuclear, not antimatter, something worse. A cascading EMP designed by humanity's best engineers before Earth fell. One that would propagate through any connected system, burning out every computer, every AI, every piece of networked technology in a 100-kilometer radius. The Citadel would go dark. Life support, gravity, containment, all of it dependent on systems that would die instantly. 500,000 people on a station that suddenly couldn't support life. Park questioned the plan. "Ma'am, there are civilians on that station, families, children."
Mara's expression didn't change. There were children on Earth. This makes us like them. No, this makes us survivors. They chose extermination. We're just finishing what they started. Silence in the room. Then Ven spoke. What about evacuation? What about it? Do we give them a chance? Mara considered. The old her, the sergeant who followed rules of engagement, who believed in proportional response, she died on Proxima Station. What remained was something forged in the fires of extinction. But these people followed her because they believed she was better than the monsters who destroyed Earth. Maybe she owed them that belief. We send warning, Mara decided, 30 minutes before detonation. Enough time to evacuate, not enough to stop us. Park nodded, then relaxed slightly. This isn't mercy. This is strategy. We want them to remember, want them to watch their symbol die and know they're powerless to stop it. Summit day arrived. The Citadel shone like a jewel in the void. Diplomatic vessels from across the galaxy docked in celebration. The Council gave speeches about unity, about peace, about the threats they'd overcome together, about the dangers of species like humanity. Mara watched from a stolen observation ship. Her operatives were in position, the device assembled. 30 minutes until the summit's closing ceremony. Perfect timing. She gave the order, send the warning. Every communication channel on the Citadel suddenly broadcast the same message. Mara's face, Mara's voice. Concordant species, this is Sergeant Mara Kove. You destroyed my world, killed my people, thought you'd won. You were wrong. In 30 minutes, the Citadel will experience total systems failure. Evacuate now. This is your only warning. Humanity remembers, humanity endures, and humanity never forgives. Panic, immediate, total, absolute. 500,000 people scrambling for ships, docking bays overwhelmed, fights breaking out. Some delegations trying to maintain order, others abandoning decorum and running. The council tried to stop it, tried to find the device, tried to prevent the detonation, but they didn't know what they were looking for, didn't know where it was hidden. 10 minutes. Evacuation proceeding, but chaotic. Hundreds of ships launching, thousands still trapped in docking queues. 15 minutes. The Concordance military deployed bomb squads, tech experts. They searched desperately. 10 minutes. Mara watched the chaos, watched the symbol of galactic unity tear itself apart in fear. This is what Earth looked like, she thought. This is what you did to us. 5 minutes. Most of the civilians were off, but tens of thousands remained. Workers, low-level personnel, the ones nobody prioritized. Mara's finger hovered over the detonation trigger. She could wait, give them more time, or she could send the message now. Park's voice on the comlink. "Ma'am, there are still people on that station." "I know." "Good people, janitors, technicians, people who had nothing to do with Earth." "I know." Silence. Then, is this what we are now? Mara closed her eyes, saw Earth burning, saw Proxima Station exploding, saw 17 billion faces in the void. Opened them. "No," she said quietly. She switched channels, broadcast to the Citadel. "You have 20 additional minutes. Get everyone off. Everyone. Humanity will destroy your symbol, but we won't murder your janitors. We're better than you." She cut transmission, changed the detonation timer. Park exhaled. "Thank you, ma'am. I don't want you to thank me. We're still destroying the Citadel." 20 minutes later, the last civilian ship cleared the docking bay. The Citadel floated empty, a ring of metal and composite materials, billions of credits in construction, the heart of galactic civilization, about to die. Mara pressed the trigger. The EMP cascaded through every system. Computers died, power grids failed, backup generators burned out. In 30 seconds, the Citadel went from a beacon of civilization to a dead hulk. No explosions, no fire, just silence. The most advanced station in the galaxy reduced to worthless metal, and every species in the Concordance watched it happen. Mara broadcast one final message.
"You came to our world, burned our cities, killed our children, said you were bringing peace. This is our peace. This is what you've earned. The Citadel is gone. Your unity is broken. And we're still here." 17 billion died, but humanity lives on in every survivor who refuses to forgive, in every attack you can't prevent, in every moment of fear when you realize we'll never stop. You wanted to erase us. Instead, you created your own nightmare. We are Terran Remnant. We are humanity's vengeance, and we're just getting started. The galaxy listened, and for the first time, the Concordance understood. They haven't destroyed humanity. They'd radicalized us. The Concordance Council convened in emergency session, not on the Citadel, that was gone. On a warship, hidden, protected. 67 species arguing, blaming. Some demanded total war, deploy every fleet, hunt every human, finish the extermination properly. Others urged negotiation, amnesty, peace before the entire Concordance collapsed. They were already in economic freefall, already seeing member species withdraw, already watching their golden age crumble. One human had started it. 300 had accelerated it.
If humanity's survivors numbered in the thousands, tens of thousands, the Concordance couldn't survive that war. The vote came down to one question: negotiate or exterminate. It split exactly even, 33 for war, 33 for peace. One species abstained, the Velhari. They were humanity's closest allies before the war. They'd voted against our extermination, been overruled, forced to watch Earth burn. Their representative stood, Ambassador Kellis, an old alien, 4 arms, 6 eyes. She'd known human diplomats personally. "I abstain," she said, "because this council lost legitimacy when it chose genocide. You feared humanity's potential, so you murdered 17 billion, and now you're surprised the survivors want revenge. You created Mara Kove. You created Terran Remnant. You turned a defensive species into the galaxy's monster. And now you ask me to help you kill the rest. No, I will not. The Velhari withdraw from this concordance, effective immediately." She left. 3 other species followed. The concordance was breaking. Mara received a message 2 days later. Encrypted Velhari protocols from Ambassador Kellis herself. "Sergeant Kove, we failed your species when we let them burn Earth. We cannot undo that, but we can offer sanctuary. The Velhari Conclave has 3 systems we've held in secret, colony worlds, habitable, hidden. We will grant them to humanity's survivors, a place to rebuild, to live, to stop fighting. The war is over. You've made your point. Please, let us help you survive as a species, not as ghosts." Mara read it 3 times. Sanctuary, new worlds, a future beyond revenge. Everything she'd thought impossible. She called a meeting, all Terran Remnant leadership, showed them the message. "What do we think?" Park spoke first. "It's a trap." Then disagreed. "The Velhari voted against the extermination. They've withdrawn from the concordance. Why would they trap us now?" "Because we're terrorists. We've killed thousands, destroyed the Citadel. Maybe they think handing us over buys them peace." Arguments erupted. Mara let them debate, watched faces, measured words. These people had lost everything, given everything, bled for humanity's memory. And they were tired. I could see it. The exhaustion, the trauma, the endless running and fighting and dying. They were survivors, but survival wasn't life. Mara made the decision. We accept, with conditions. Everyone stopped talking. The Velhari provide the worlds, but we verify them first. Send scouts, run every test. If it's legitimate, we start moving non-combatants, families, children, the ones who can't fight. "And us?" Park asked. "We keep fighting." Silence. "We've hurt them, but they're not broken. The Concordance still has thousands of worlds, millions of ships. We stop now, they'll recover, hunt us down, destroy whatever new colonies we build. We need them beaten, not just afraid, beaten." Then spoke carefully. "Ma'am, with respect, we can't beat the entire galaxy." "No, but we can make them think we can." Mara outlined the plan. Terran Remnant would split. Non-combatants to the Velhari worlds, Fighters would continue operations, but not random attacks, strategic. They'd target Concordance military infrastructure, supply depots, fleet yards, recruitment centers, make it impossible for the Concordance to wage war, force them to negotiate from weakness, make them agree to terms. Humanity gets the Velhari worlds, gets reparations, gets recognition as a sovereign species with protected space, and the Concordance's promise, never again. How long? Someone asked.
6 months, maybe a year. We hit them hard enough they'll beg to negotiate. And if they don't? Mara smiled, cold, dangerous. Then we teach them what extinction actually means. The campaign began. Terran Remnant hit 20 targets in the first week. Coordinated, simultaneous, devastating. Fleet construction yards destroyed, supply convoys intercepted, command centers sabotaged. The Concordance couldn't defend everything, couldn't predict where humanity would strike next. Losses mounted. Not just personnel, morale, public support. Member species started openly questioning the Concordance's competence. Some began secret negotiations with the Vehalari, asking about humanity, about terms, about whether reconciliation was possible. Ambassador Kellis coordinated it all, built a coalition of species willing to recognize humanity's sovereignty, willing to pay reparations, willing to end the cycle. Month 3, the coalition had 12 species. Month 5, 31. More than half the Concordance. The remainder faced a choice: accept peace or fight alone. The vote came. This time, it wasn't even close. 59 species voted for negotiation, 8 abstained, none voted for continued war. The Concordance sent an official envoy to the Vehalari, requesting terms, requesting contact with Terran Remnant leadership, requesting to end the conflict. Mara received the message personally. The negotiations took place on neutral ground, a Vehalari station, no weapons, no fleets, just diplomats. And Mara. She walked in wearing full combat gear, refused to take off her sidearm, sat across from 3 Concordance ambassadors who looked terrified. Good. They should be. Ambassador Kellis mediated. Sergeant Kove, the Concordance has authorized me to present preliminary terms. I'm listening. The Concordance's lead ambassador, a spindly insectoid named Thress, spoke with difficulty. The Concordance recognizes the sovereignty of humanity as a species. We cede 3 systems provided by the Vehalari Conclave for human colonization. We agree to 50 years of reparations. 100, Mara interrupted. That's 100 years. You took everything. You'll pay for a century. Thress's mandibles clicked nervously. 100 years. Agreed. We further agree to demilitarize zones between human and Concordance space. No military vessels within 10 light years of human systems. 20 light years. Yes, and we agree to... Thress hesitated. Say it. We agree to formally recognize the extermination of 17 billion humans as an act of genocide, and we issue an official apology. Silence. Mara stared at them. An apology. Like words could bring back Earth. Your apology means nothing. You don't get forgiveness. You don't get absolution. You burned our world, and now you're negotiating because we hurt you enough to care, not because you're sorry, because you're afraid. Thress said nothing. But I'll accept your terms, not for you, for the humans who deserve to live without running, who deserve homes, families, futures. We'll take your systems, your reparations, your demilitarized zones, and if you ever threaten humanity again, what I did to the Citadel will look like mercy. Are we clear? Yes, Sergeant. Then we have an agreement. Ambassador Kellis produced the documents, official, binding, recognized across the galaxy. Mara read every word, signed at the bottom. Humanity was reborn. 3 systems, 3 worlds, resources, protection, recognition. From 200 survivors to a species with a future.
The negotiations concluded. The ambassadors left quickly. Mara sat alone in the chamber. She'd done it. Saved humanity. Made them pay. So why did she feel empty? Ambassador Kellis returned. Found Mara still sitting there. You won. Your species survived.
17 billion don't. No, they don't, and nothing changes that. But you've given the survivors something they thought impossible. Hope. Mara looked at the Vahlari. Your people voted against the extermination. Why? Because we remembered our own history. 3,000 years ago, another species tried to erase us. We survived, rebuilt, and we swore we'd never let it happen to another people. We failed Earth. I'm sorry. Were you there when they voted? Yes. What did you say? Kellis's 6 eyes grew distant. I told them that fear is not justification for genocide, that humanity's potential was not a crime, that if we destroyed every species that might one day challenge us, we'd deserve the darkness we'd create. They voted to kill you anyway. Then your species has honor. Theirs doesn't, perhaps. But you showed them something important, Sergeant. You showed them that humans cannot be erased, that you adapt, survive, prevail. They feared your potential before. Now they know it's real. Mara stood. I want to see the worlds. Of course, the Vahlari ships arrived at the first world 3 weeks later. New Terra, someone had named it. Not original, but fitting. 200 survivors became 800 as humans emerged from hiding. Then 2,000, then 5. Hidden refugees who'd spent years terrified. Children born in secret. Families separated by light years. They came home. Ships landed on virgin soil. Humans stepped on a world that was theirs. Built shelters, planted crops, laughed. Mara watched from orbit. Saw people who looked like her walking free, living. Terran remnant soldiers put down weapons, became farmers, engineers, parents. The war was over. Park found her on the observation deck. You should go down there, ma'am. I'm not a colonist. You're the reason they're alive. Mara shook her head. I'm the reason thousands of Concordance personnel are dead. I'm a killer. They need builders now. You're a hero. No. Heroes save people. I just made the enemy hurt enough to stop. Park was quiet for a moment. What will you do? Good question. Mara had spent 18 months fighting, killing, surviving. She didn't know how to do anything else. The answer came from an unexpected source. Ambassador Kellis offered Mara a position. Not military, diplomatic. The Vahlari Conclave is forming a new organization, the Sovereign Species Coalition, designed to prevent what happened to Earth from ever happening again. We want you to lead humanity's delegation. I'm not a diplomat. You're exactly what we need. Someone who understands the cost of failure. Someone the Concordance fears enough to keep honest. They'll never accept me. They already have. It was part of the terms. You get diplomatic immunity, recognition, authority to speak for your species. Mara considered it. A warrior becoming a peacekeeper. It felt wrong, but it also felt necessary. I accept. On one condition. Name it. I keep my weapons. Kellis's mandibles quirked in what might have been a smile. I wouldn't expect anything else. 3 years later, New Terra thrived. Population 15,000 and growing. The second world, named Sanctuary, held 12,000 more. The third, Hope's End, was still being terraformed, but it would support millions eventually. Humanity was rebuilding. Slowly, carefully, but genuinely. The Sovereign Species Coalition grew to 27 members, species who'd left the Concordance or never joined, building something better. Mara served as humanity's voice. She negotiated trade agreements, mutual defense pacts, cultural exchanges. She never forgot what the Concordance did, never forgave, but she channeled that into making sure it never happened again. The Concordance itself still existed, diminished, reduced to 36 member species. They paid reparations on time, honored the demilitarized zones, kept their distance. They learned. Some species never forgot the Citadel, never forgot that one human soldier brought an empire to its knees. Mara became a legend. The last soldier, the ghost, humanity's vengeance. Parents told their children stories about Mara, about the woman who refused to die, who carried 17 billion souls on her shoulders and made the galaxy pay. She hated it.
On the 5th anniversary of New Terra's founding, they held a ceremony, honoring the dead, celebrating the living. Mara gave a speech. Thousands attended, humans and aliens both. She stood at the podium, looking out at people who'd survived the unsurvivable. 5 years ago, we had nothing. No homes, no future, just anger and grief and the will to survive. Today, we have worlds. We have children born under our own sky. We have peace. She paused. But we must never forget the cost. 17 billion died, not in war, in extermination, because the galaxy feared what we might become. They tried to erase us. They failed. We're still here, and we always will be. But surviving isn't enough. We have to be better. We have to build something worth the lives we lost. We have to prove that humanity's potential wasn't something to fear, it was something to celebrate. The people who destroyed Earth acted from fear. If we act from hate, we become them. So we choose differently. We build, we grow, we reach out. We show the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength isn't our capacity for violence, it's our capacity for hope. We are the children of Earth. We carry her memory, her legacy, her future, and we will make sure she's remembered not for how she died, but for how her children lived. The crowd was silent. Then someone started clapping, then another. Then thousands. After the ceremony, Mara walked alone, through New Terra's capital, past buildings humans had built, parks where children played. She came to the memorial wall, 17 billion names. It would take decades to read them all. She found one, Lieutenant Sarah Chen, her best friend, killed when Proxima Station fell. Mara touched the etched letters. "We made it," she whispered. "Not all of us, but enough. I hope that's okay." No answer, just the wind through alien trees. Mara stood there until dark. Then she went home, to the apartment she barely used, the life she barely lived. She poured a drink, sat on the balcony, looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Concordance still plotted, still schemed, still feared. Good. Let them fear. Let them remember. Let them know that humanity endures.
Park visited the next morning. He'd become head of New Terra's defense force, married, had a daughter. He found Mara where he always did, the memorial wall. "Ma'am, we've received intelligence. Concordance fleet movements near the demilitarized zone." Mara's expression didn't change. "Aggressive? Unclear. Could be exercises, could be testing our response. Recommendation? We deploy observers, show them we're watching." "Do it." Park hesitated. "Ma'am, do you think they'll try again?" "Try what?" "To finish us." Mara looked at him, at the young soldier who'd saved her life, who'd built a new life here, who had everything to lose. "Yes," she said honestly. "Not now, maybe not for 100 years, but eventually they'll convince themselves we're the threat again. They'll come." "Then what do we do?" Mara smiled, dangerous, confident. "We remind them why they were afraid in the first place." That night, Mara addressed Terran Remnant. They still existed, not as fighters, as guardians. Veterans who couldn't quite settle, couldn't quite forget,
who kept themselves ready, just in case. The Concordance is moving fleets, probably nothing, probably posturing, but we stay sharp, we stay ready. We've built something here, something worth protecting, and if they ever forget what happened to the Citadel, we'll teach them again. Heads nodded around the room. These were the ones who'd fought beside her, who'd bled, who'd lost everything and taken it back by force. They'd never truly be civilians, and humanity needed that. Needed protectors who understood the cost of peace. We're not looking for war, but we won't run from it, not ever again. We're humanity. We survived extinction. We rebuilt from ashes. We made the galaxy bleed for what they did, and we'll do it again if we have to. But until then, we live, we build, we grow. We show them that destroying Earth was the biggest mistake they ever made, because we're still here, we're still strong, and we're never going away. Humanity actual, not a myth, not a legend, the real thing. The room erupted in affirmation. Mara returned to her apartment, sat at her desk, wrote a report for the Sovereign Species Coalition about the Concordance fleet movements. Professional, diplomatic, everything a representative should be. Then she opened a secure channel, encrypted, hidden, known only to Terran Remnant's inner circle. She began updating contingency plans, strike targets, sabotage protocols, evacuation routes, everything they'd need if the Concordance broke the treaty, everything they'd need to go to war again. She worked until dawn. Then she dressed, put on her diplomatic attire, holstered her sidearm, and went to the Coalition Assembly. 2 lives, 2 purposes, peacekeeper and weapon. She was both, would always be both, because humanity needed both. The galaxy had tried to destroy them, failed, negotiated, made peace. But Mara knew the truth. Peace was just war waiting to happen. And when it did, humanity would be ready. The galaxy learned 3 things from humanity's survival. 1. Never assume extinction. 2. Never underestimate survivors. 3. Never ever make humans desperate, because desperate humans are the most dangerous force in the universe. Mara Kove proved that. 1 soldier, 1 mission, 1 unbreakable will. She didn't save humanity alone, but she showed humanity how to save itself. And 5,000 years from now, when human children study history, they'll learn about the species that tried to erase us, and they'll learn about the woman who made sure we survived. The last soldier, the first of the new humanity, the one who taught the galaxy to fear and to respect. Mara Kove stands watch still, older now, grayer, but no less dangerous. She looks at the stars every night, waiting, watching, ready. Because humanity endures and humanity remembers, always. Humanity actual, not a myth, not a legend, the real thing.